was!
Welcome to Ms. Mojo, and today we're comparing all of the Peter Pan movies.
You can fly, you can fight, and you can...
In this essay, we'll be looking at the most notable ways the Peter Pan films portray the magical story's fantastically troublesome characters and themes. Which is your favorite version of the boy who wouldn't grow up? Crow about your choice in the comments. What makes a Peter Pan film? Who hasn't secretly wished that they could be young forever at one point or another? Or dreamed of flying to a magical land? Plus, when you're with Peter Pan, you can escape all of your responsibilities.
Forget them, Wendy. Forget them all. Come with me, we'll never have to worry about grown-up things again.
No wonder both adults and kids alike are drawn to these movies. So what's required for a Peter Pan film? Well, we usually expect a boy who flies.
Watch me now. Here I go. It's easier than pie.
He can fly! He can fly! He flew!
He must typically also be, or become, a resident of Neverland who leads a group of wild children on grand adventures. They often do things like fight pirates, play with fairies and mermaids, and believe they never ever have to grow up. Of course, you'll also usually find Wendy Darling, Hook, and Tinkerbell involved in the story. Naturally, several films have taken those basic ideas and played around with things like the timeline or Peter Pan's motivations, giving us prequels, sequels, and more.
I came to listen to the stories.
My stories? But they're all about you.
Of course. That's why I like them.
Quintessential Peter Pan. The best way to get to Neverland is with Peter Pan, so how can you recognize him?
I've got his medical history, I've even got his dental records. No.
Excuse me.
You're trying to do me out of a joke, right? What's the matter?
May I show you something? Will you let go of me just 1 second?
Release him.
Thank you. May I show you this?
Will you shut him up? I'll flog off.
Well, Tinkerbell from 1991's Hook says that only Pan smells like a boy who's ridden the back of the wind. But there are some personality traits we tend to associate with him. He often starts out selfish and only concerned with fun or his own comfort. To really see the contrast in the character across films, though, we need to look at how he treats those closest to him. In the animated 1953 flick, he doesn't seem to care if Wendy's hurt by mermaids or left behind. Similarly, in the 2003 version, he asks her why she ruins everything by trying to focus on feelings like love.
Banish you like Tinkerbell.
I will not be banished!
Go home. Go home and grow up. And take your feelings with you.
However, in Pan, we see an earlier version of Peter who puts his friends first. Meanwhile, in Hook, Robin Williams' older character is fighting not for himself, but for his family, and he comes out of the ordeal a much better person.
What's wrong, Peter?
I can't stay and play. I've done what I came to do, and now I have to go back.
No, Peter, please.
Tink, make my kids glow.
The magical wild of Neverland.
Where do you live?
Second to the right and then straight on till morning.
One of the reasons Peter doesn't want to grow up is probably because he'd have to leave Neverland. And the films tend to take the time to really show the magical nature of this tempting place. The island from the Disney film sets the mold for future cinematic renditions. Hook's landscape is practically like a live-action version of it. Both Pan and the 2003 Peter Pan deliver as well, thoughtfully creating saturated dreamlike settings. Along with the sense of wonder, some also add an element of danger to the locale. While the fairies are usually glowing bits of wondrous magic, the mermaids in the 2003 film are truly frightening.
Oh, how sweet. Are mermaids not sweet?
They'll sweetly drown you if you get too close.
Adaptations have also featured things like crocodiles and neverbirds that are happy to wreak havoc. It's wild and dangerous, but that makes for a more exciting game.
Look! Look, you codfish! Here!
The evolution of Wendy Darling. Wendy Darling is practically always an important part of the story, and each version of the imaginative girl reflects the time that it was produced. Usually a dreamer, she can be reluctant to leave her childhood behind. This is why she chooses to fly to Neverland with Peter in the classic story.
What would Mother say?
Mother? What's mother?
Why, Peter, a mother's someone who loves and cares for you and tells you stories.
Good. You can be our mother.
In the 1953 animated film, she's rather maternal, caring for her brothers and the Lost Boys. She's sweet, but not as fleshed out as she could be. In Hook, we meet her as a grandma and see the adult life she settled into following her time with Peter.
I half expected you to alight on the church and forbid my vows on my wedding day. I wore a pink satin sash, but you didn't come.
However, modern films like the 2003 one have provided Wendy the opportunity to have more sass and personality. Here, she fights pirates and even saves Peter with a kiss. Although there's an implied romance, she ultimately chooses to go home with her family.
My unfulfilled ambition is to write a great novel in 3 parts about my adventures.
What adventures?
I've yet to have them, but they will be perfectly thrilling.
Hopefully, as more movies are released, Wendy will continue to take an even more active role in the story.
To grow up might just be the biggest adventure of all.
The Tiger Lily problem. The darling daughter is not the only girl in the classic Peter Pan story. Author J.M. Barrie also included Princess Tiger Lily, who's indigenous. Finding a way to properly work this character into the films has frequently been a problem.
If you have to ask, I might be doing it wrong.
Disney's animated version is full of racist stereotypes. On top of that, Tiger Lily is taken and subsequently rescued, but barely utters a word. The 2003 film, on the other hand, has what might be one of the more successful portrayals to date. Carson Gray, who's of Haida descent, gives us a character full of fire and fight.
She says sorry, but no.
Pan, meanwhile, delivered a completely different take on Neverland's indigenous tribes by reportedly attempting to combine different cultures. But while Tiger Lily was a formidable warrior in the film, director Joe Wright was accused of whitewashing the role by casting actress Rooney Mara. 2023's Peter Pan and Wendy, for its part, sees indigenous actor Alyssa Wapanatug take on the role, hopefully giving the warrior princess fresh, new life.
They gave me the reins on it, and they let me take that into my own hands, and I felt very empowered to have that responsibility, to be able to do that.
Hook and adulthood. In most Peter Pan films, the only true adults in Neverland are the antagonistic pirates.
We kill pirates.
I'm not a pirate. So happens, I am a lawyer.
Kill the lawyer!
Since Wendy and Peter are avoiding responsibility, it's no wonder they're so happy to fight them. As he's typically the leader of these evil grown-ups, the way Hook is portrayed says a lot about how the film views adulthood. Disney's animated version paints the pirate captain as a villain obsessed with destroying fun. There, adults are definitely the enemy. Yet in Pan, although a scoundrel, Hook's a friend to Peter, so maybe getting older isn't so bad.
Set a course! Hey, who's in charge here?
Well, I'm the captain.
And I'm the chosen one.
We'll have plenty of time to argue about that later, Flyboy.
Suit yourself, Captain Hook.
The 2003 version, meanwhile, sees Jason Isaacs playing both Mr. Darling and the pirate. This could be interpreted as a subtle nod to the multitudes contained within adult life. In 1991's Hook, the captain is manipulative and in some ways pathetic. However, since Peter is an adult, we also get a contrasting view of what being a grown-up can be. In other words, there are many different ways one can portray Captain Hook, and these have the potential to carry important messages about adult life.
Proud and insolent youth. Prepare to meet thy doom.
Have at thee!
Do the Lost Boys stay lost? Peter Pan and Wendy aren't the only ones who try to avoid adulthood. The Lost Boys also want to remain kids forever.
Play! Play!
In Neverland, they get to dress how they want, run through the woods, and enjoy themselves. The main difference between the films is whether or not the Lost Boys leave Neverland. In Pan, Neverland is their rescue. They get to leave horrible conditions at the orphanage for a life of color and camaraderie.
All right, gentlemen, hold on tight. Peter, you don't have a rope. We have a lot to talk about.
In the Disney film, Wendy explains that Pan's followers weren't ready to leave yet. This implies that they may change their mind eventually. In the 2003 Peter Pan, these characters are ultimately adopted, leaving their old lives behind.
What's your name?
Nibs. I play in the battles.
Would you like a mother, Nibs?
Yes.
When combined with Wendy and Peter's choices, the Lost Boys landing spot leads to an important question. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Is it a dream or a nightmare? Is Neverland the goal? Should we want to be like the standard fairy tale Peter Pan, or should we learn from his mistakes?
Don't leave us, Peter, and don't say goodbye. What's goodbye? It's going away. That's what it is. Forgetting about us all over again.
You're all my lost boys. I'll never forget you.
The positive change in Robin Williams' Pan emphasizes the importance of taking time to have fun without sacrificing family. And anytime Tinkerbell is brought to life, we understand the value of a childlike belief in magic.
I do believe in fairies!
Oh, take her alive! Oh, take.
Other incidents, however, drive home the point that never growing up is a terrible idea. In the animated version, Wendy starts to miss her home and parents, realizing life in Neverland isn't a long-term solution. And although it isn't gory, death is very real in both Pan and Hook. Beyond that, these films tend to show the importance of balance, spotlighting the ways all stages of life are important in their own right.
To live would be an awfully big adventure.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Ms. Mojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.